Hmm. Happy Spindrift, everybody. So, I am back at school now. It just started up this week, and I don't know if I've talked about it yet. Like, this is genuine, but I don't know if I've talked about what I study. But I'm a playwriting student, which means I go to theater school. Yes, really. And it's been refreshing to be around this many queer people again. You know, there's a lot of visible queerness at my school, and it's gotten me thinking about pride. So today I thought we could do a sort of a Pride in September moment. You know, I've never really been a big Pride guy, to be honest. It's like kind of a fact about me is that, like, when it comes down to it, you know, I don't like big crowds. I don't like a lot of loud noises, and that's sort of like what Pride events always are. Like, like if I'm feeling up to it, I'll go to like a circuit party or something. But like, other than that, like, I hate parades. And I don't like the heat is another thing. So, you know, Pride has just never been something that I've been super active in partaking in, which is unfortunate because I do love the New York queer community. And so instead, I thought we could do something digital, virtual, media based, and I had the idea, you know, what's a good way to go and celebrate the summer fun in the summer sun without actually going out and doing any summer socializing. So today we're going to be playing Super Mario Sunshine. I figured we could take a tour of the game, designing little pride events for each of its little areas. So, you know, as they say in the Mushroom Kingdom, let's go. Okay, so y'all are just gonna have to trust me that I tried to make my fucking capture card work, but I didn't. So we're just looking up gameplay footage. There we go. Super Mario Sunshine long play. Okay. Here we go. This footage is from Nimbanian. God, I wonder what fucking capture card they use. Better than mine, I'm sure. So the thing about Isle Delfino Pride is that it's gonna be like, we're going all over the place, right? So say we have the beginning of, you know, the whole, let's get this on 1080p. Come on, we don't want little nothing picture quality. Come on, we want something proper. Now, it seems to be sort of like it has a lot of tourism is a big part of its revenue. And I think that anything that would sort of disrupt that industry would make a lot of the lawmakers sort of start to like really pay attention to, like, you know, the underserved classes that exist on the island. You know what I mean? Right now we're seeing a fervent surge of anti-trans legislation pushed by the right wing, and it's like truly some of the most disgusting, vile shit we've ever seen. And as we know, Nokis, you know, the little shell guys from Mario Sunshine, they're all trans, and that's a fact. That's actually canon. Is that all the Nokis are trans, and you know, they seem to live rather, I guess, segregated within the Isle Delfino sort of community, right? Like, you know, you see like all like the stuff going on with the Nokis and the piantas and everything, and it paints the idea that this is like a very vertical society that we live in here, right? Oh, he's spinning. Why is he spinning so much? So yeah, I'm thinking maybe we start at the lighthouse and sort of make our way through the residential areas, dodging the cops, obviously, ACAB, and make our way down to the big pianta statue, because I think that would be a real message of like the crowd of you know, Nokis and piantas and humans and toads and everyone. Yoshi's there, you know, at the giant pianta statue, the Noki flag, and shoving a Noki flag in its hands, fighting for trans rights. I think that would really disrupt the tourism industry and make the lawmakers listen before they keep passing anti-trans legislation. Now, we have to sort of look into doing some organizing with that. And there are community leaders that exist on Isle Delfino, you know. I think as the game goes on, Mario starts to get some real social capital. And I think he can really, I think it's his duty, honestly, to use that effectively. Oh, that was such a baller move. Such a baddie. And, you know, I think it would be wrong for him not to, you know what I mean? So, I think he's done a lot of networking in his time on the island. And I know he's technically a political prisoner, but I think he's a political prisoner with a lot of social capital, and I think that he needs to do his civic duty to his, you know, his trans siblings. Is Mario trans? Have we had that conversation yet? Have we had the Mario is trans conversation? I know Shinji is. But if we're talking about characters from the Mario universe, like I would say Mario, the Noki, Birdo, obviously. There is some other Mario characters that like Nintendo was futzing around with gender, I think, right? Yeah, Vivian from Paper Mario 2, which is the best one, obviously. Yeah, so I would say Mario actually has a vested emotional interest. Now that being said, I don't want to put all of that on him. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, I think, like Princess Peach, I know she's like roped up in some stuff during this game, you know, you know, but like, she gets saved out of that little hot tub with all the goop and the missiles. And as the monarch of a foreign nation with a lot of sway, it seems like the Mushroom Kingdom is one of the dominant, if not the dominant, political entity within the Mario world. They certainly have a lot of money, and I think that it would definitely be wise to put that to use in that sense. So I think that getting Princess Peach on the side of these protests for some funding, for some statements of public support, you know, sort of maybe like a Princess Diana moment, I think would be really important in the fight for the Noki community and the broader trans community on Isle Delfino. So, Bianco Hills is a fabulous little locale up in the hills of Isle Delfino, and it's pretty near Delfino Plaza, but it's certainly more of a residential vibe. It seems like it's still invested in the tourism economy. You know, based on sort of like the demographics you see here. Sort of the windmills seem to have like a very tourist destination-y vibe to it. This is definitely something for like, you know, you want to go through the countryside and like experience the culture. You know, you would do well to come to Bianco Hills. So I think this could be for like a proper pride event that's like, you know, less violent than like a riot that we're planning at Delfino Plaza. I'm thinking this would be more like the picturesque PG pride that, you know, the 13-year-olds on TikTok seem to have in their mind when they think of the occasion. And you know, there could be some cool things going on that are very all-inclusive for everyone. This would be very much also like the influencers, more like artistic sort of like aesthetic pride moment. Like they could do like some sweet photos here and like bring in some real tourism money for the country. So I think a nice sort of, I guess, all-inclusive, just general pride festival in Pianta Village would be just the thing we need for this area of Delfino Plaza. Of Isle Delfino. Sorry, excuse me. So to be honest, like I said, I don't really go to a whole lot of pride events, and the ones that I do go to are like, you know, circuit parties and like that sort of thing. So I'm not too hip to the jive with like the more, I guess, all-inclusive, family-friendly aspect here. You know, that's not really my scene at these sorts of, that's not really my speed of pride, you know. Not to say I've ever taken speed at pride, because I haven't. That would be bad. Moving on to Rico Harbor. 2 words, femboy fishing. It is time for some proper femboy fishing representation of this community in Isle Delfino, and I think this would be a lot of fun, while going a long way for the continued political inclusion and celebration of, you know, all types of gender identity, gender nonconformity in the fishing community of Isle Delfino. You know, you have all of the equipment, and like the 8th level, like we're in here, it's all about like, there's like a fish market, and that's where like Yoshi's egg is. And so it wouldn't be a huge stretch, you know what I mean? It would just be, I guess, tying into the local event. Like you see there, they like have like fish for sale, and like, what if instead of cisgender sort of piantas catching those, what if it was up to the beautiful, but you know, just the femboys of all backgrounds, and all makeup, to catch some fish. You know, I think that would be very wholesome, a very wholesome activity, as opposed to some of the other ones on the list, you know, which I'll get to. I'll get to you, Pinna Park. But like, see here, you have all these fish going on here, and they're just causing trouble. But like, you know, get some femboys to come in and fish them up. You know, may even find a stray shine sprite, you know, trapped in the scaff over there. And so I think femboy fishing at Rico Harbor would be a great all-inclusive family event that would serve the local wildlife well, in keeping up with the food chain, the economy, because you're then selling the fish, while of course giving a profit of the proceeds to a foundation of sorts. And what the foundation is, you know, I don't know the Mario universe parallels here. However, I will say that I do think that there are a lot of people in need in Isle Delfino, and I think that femboy fishing here would be a great opportunity to explore that. Oh, is that how you fucking do that? You get over there and then you switch to Pink Yoshi, and that makes them right. Okay. So I mentioned my love of circuit parties earlier, and I think that Pinna Park would be just like the perfect answer for like a circuit party on Isle Delfino for Pride. I feel like gay people already love theme parks, you know what I mean? Like, you see like the theme park fandom online, and it's like mostly people of some sort of queer like makeup, you know what I mean? Like, you see like the really, and then, you know, it's just a fun vibe. You get a disco ball, get some like house music going, get some lights, some smoke machines, you know, it can all be very tasteful. Only serve, you know, alcohol after a certain part of the night to get the families out of there so that everyone can have a very good, wholesome circuit party time. Now, I don't know what the sort of, I guess, local drug trade is on El Delfino, and I'm gonna be very honest about that. I can't, guarantee anything on that regard. However, I will say with just some light monitoring, I think it could be very safe and very fun for people of all sorts of proclivities, you know what I mean? Because like you got plenty of places to like hang out with your pals, and then if you want to like have fun on like the pirate ships or like the clamshells or what have you, you can do that. But then like later on, the sun's going down, you're there with your partner, or maybe you meet someone there. Listen, it can all be very tasteful. And listen, I know these things can get a little intense, so sometimes you want to sneak off and like get to know each other a little more. You got plenty of spaces here to do so. You have your little hideaways, behind the fountain. You have some little secluded beach areas. You have this behind the sort of the main thing with like all these little guys here. I don't think the turtles would bug you if you just sort of, minded your own business and did your thing. You have that little bit, behind the walkway with that tower of stews. I almost called them cataquacks. That's a different guy. So I think this could be a very fun event. I just think the organizers will have to work a little overtime to clear it with everyone and make sure that it's all very safe. But once they do that, I could see this being like a fixture for Delfino Pride for years to come. I mentioned the sort of like picturesque Pride excursions, like the influencer events, back when I was talking about Bianco Hills, and I think that goes like triply for Gelato Beach. You have like the Watermelon Festival, which is already like a level of queerness that I don't think anyone would really deny. And so I think this would be really great for like a really nice proper like really good like PG family fun like pride themed event. Maybe you can make like, I think it'd be really cool to like clear some of these cataquacks out, maybe herd them out for a little bit, make the beaches really safe for everyone, and like maybe do some beach art of like gay like historical figures, trans historical figures of like through the decades, maybe some like beautiful like modern queer art in the sand. You already have like the sand pictures that you clear up with water, so like think that, but like make it LGBTQ+. And I also think this would be fun just to get the kids engaged in like sort of the beach activities, and if you could have some like cool events that you'd normally find in like sort of like a more, I guess, like city area, but like with like sort of a fun backdrop here. Like I think this could be like a really great place for like drag queen story hour, and then read some picture books on the beach, and then with your family, your towel, and all that. And it's a great way to beat the heat, learn about the world, and have some fun, all at the same time. And that's on Gelato Beach. I have to assume they have great ice cream here too. Because like if they aren't, that's just like false fucking advertising. I also think that with Gelato Beach and everything, it would be super fun once night falls, rather than close the beach like they normally do, to have like a viewing of the sandbird as it comes around, because like it comes around once a day, and It's normally at night, so it's like, but to have like a beautiful stargazing thing with the sandbird flying overhead, it can all, you know, like I said, it's all very tasteful. And for the really brave ones to go up and to meet the sandbird and greet it as a friend. And I think that would be a really powerful ally to have in the fight for queer liberation. In keeping with the beach theme, I think we ought to talk about Sirena Beach. You know, this is more like I liked Gelato Beach as like sort of a family fun, timey thing, touristy moment for everyone. But I see Sirena Beach as more of like a Fire Island moment. You know what I mean? Where like, you know, queer people can come and like just be truly open and authentic and like, you know, truly make connections that will last a lifetime. And you know, you're like, it's like being in the dunes at Fire Island or being at the meat rack or Cherry Grove or whatever. You know, and so, you know, it's not going to be very PG. It's actually going to be pretty explicit, R-rated, maybe sometimes even X-rated. You know, and I think that is something that we really need to hold space for. In Pride, because you know it's good to have the family-friendly activities and get young people and kids and everything involved, but we really need to like hold space for, you know, some like a diversity of queer experiences, but also for the people who really fought for the queer community to be where it is now on this great island. You know, so when it comes down to that, I think that Sirena Beach would be great. I think it could be a great clothing optional event as well. You know, serve some like, you know, some more of a diversity of alcohol, just very adult oriented. You know, I see this hotel as like the counterpart to what they have in Delfino Plaza and Bianco Hills, more like Airbnb, but this is like really, you're getting the Cherry Grove treatment here, the pines and all that beautiful stuff. This is very much Sunshine's Fire Island. The fact that the hotel is haunted need not be an issue. You know, I'm sure this is long after Bowser has, you know, his evil plans have been foiled and he's surrendered to the LGBTQ plus community. Plus, look at that sunset. I'm just gonna pause it. Let's just stop for a second to admire that beautiful view. Let me, if I can get the display out of here. That's just even more display. Yeah. Look, let's take a moment to just appreciate that sun. Now, and imagine you're here, you know, with your loved one, or you met someone and you're really sort of having a proper intimate experience with them, and you're laying down on one of those little chairs there, holding hands, you got your drinks next to you know, all the time in the world, and it's just a moment of pure bliss, completely unobstructed whatsoever. And it's crazy to me to think that like that's a thing that like straight people can just like have, you know what I mean? Like, we've had to fight like crazy. Like I said that I'm not a big Pride person, you know, and like, and that's true. That's more so like I don't like going to Pride for the same reason that I don't really like going to Disneyland and like just theme parks in general, which is that like, you know, it's hot and it's crowded and it's loud. But like the times that I've been to Pride and like been sort of immersed in the community is like the most, I guess, sort of like social euphoria I've felt as a gay man, you know. And it's something that you truly can't beat, because like this is just like, straight people take this so much for granted, but like these moments of peace and love with your partner or with just anyone, like people of your, you know, desired sex, you know, that's like that's shit that like not everyone gets, you know what I mean? And I don't mean that in like an incel way. I mean it in like a civil rights way. So, you know, I wanted to stop and appreciate that, like looking at this sunset with like, you know, the theme park silhouetted against the sunset. Actually, this is the proximity to Pinna Park would also be really good because you remember that's where the circuit party's happening. So like I guess that means that like where, you know, Bianco Hills and Gelato Beach and Delfino Plaza are all sort of like localized with each other. You know, Pinna Park and Sirena Beach are more for like the more adult oriented activities. But sometimes in like these like little images of like reflection, you know, you sort of like stop to think about like, you know, what pride means to you. And like I don't know, I think about that sometimes because pride to me, it means, you know, on the personal level, it means, you know, what I do every day, which is sort of exist very visibly as a gay man and sort of, you know, live very vocally queerly, even though it might be more convenient for me not to, you know what I mean? And to be very unashamed of that, and very open about it, you know, like I'm sure there will be some people that are like asking like you know, it's not June, it's not Pride Month, you know, like, but for me it's like I don't know, like I feel like Pride Month isn't like the only time I like to celebrate gay people. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like to do it year round because I am one, and it's either that or the old self-hatred route, and I think we left that with Mark Crowley and Boys in the Band. No shade to Boys in the Band, I love that play and those movies. But I get a little I kind of side-eye creators online when I see them like sort of only post about celebrating the queer community in Pride Month when the other 11 months of the year they don't really do that at all, you know what I mean? And they don't really make an effort to do that in their content that they create or whatever. You know, they never really speak about it or engage with the queer community on any level outside of Pride Month. And it sort of makes me feel watching it, it's like, oh, okay, so you're doing this because it's, I guess, you know, socially expedient for you to do, you know? And like, I don't know how true it is. You know, that's why I try not to that's why I try not to dignify it with more than an eye roll, because like there's also the part that's like, as an online creator you're also like a brand, and like there's a balancing act there of like, well, you don't want to be, I guess, doing this for too much clout or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I remember motorcycle outside my apartment, I remember Ludwig was like making a tweet about this that was like, you know what it, you know, it's tough to talk about sometimes, like like making a happy Pride Month post, because as I get more popular, more people start to see me as a brand. And I was reading that, I was like, okay, I can certainly empathize with that, I can certainly understand that, you know. And like I don't doubt that like most of the people that whose content I consume and like I watch and engage with and everything are very like progressive people that like have good things in their heart to say about about gay people. You know, but like sometimes I'm just like, well, I don't know that you really get it, you know? Maybe it's not for you to get as a straight person. But you know, I don't think most straight people even think about pride that much, or even think about gay people that much. I think they think about gay people in the way that sort of all straight people do, which is like in the hypothetical sense of like, oh, wouldn't it be so crazy if we were gay? Like, oh, my life would be so much easier. I wouldn't have to deal with the opposite sex. It's like, no, bro, I'll treat you just as bad. Watch me. Oh, and that's like another thing that bugs me about like creators and pride and everything is like, you know, like I'll see like people like they'll get called out for like doing homophobic shit in the past. Let me put some gameplay on with this. Sunshine. Yeah. But like that's the thing about like you know, you see creators like also get like called out for like homophobic things they've done in the past. Say it's like a straight guy or whatever, and he's like, you know, he was very brazen and flippant, like calling his buddies like faggots and queers and everything while they were playing video games and stuff like that. You know, I see that. Like I saw like streamers, you know, like XQC was an example of like someone who like said something homophobic in a homophobic way, and then like was very defensive about it when called out about it. And I saw that. Oh, where are you going, honey? You know, and I saw the thing with XQC saying that, and I saw that, and I went, oh, well, you seem like a not very productive person. I kind of don't want to engage with your stuff anymore. You know, if that's how you're going to respond to, you know, the homophobia allegations, while also not doing anything for queer people or to atone for, you know, the homophobic things that you've said and done. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's why I sort of can't get on board the Mango train, even being like a fan of Melee and like watching competitive Melee at like a high level. Like I respect Mango as a player, but like I remember when that whole fucking the documentary came out. Does anyone remember that, when the documentary came out and Mango and Leffen were out here being like, hey, we don't like how you depicted us as being homophobic. And the argument wasn't that like they didn't say the things they said or that it was taken out of context. The context that they, you know, provided was that like, well, everyone was doing it, so it's unfair to single us out. Like, you know, I can certainly see your point in a sense, but it's also like, bro, you know, you gotta own up to it a little bit. Like obviously that's a little, I guess that would be a little unfair to single them out in particular because it was so widespread. And I remember that. You know, I have been a fan of competitive Melee for a long time, but I've also been a gay person for longer. You know what I mean? And so I'm very, I don't want to say sensitive, because I feel like that has some sort of connotations to it. But like I'm very like keyed into what I see as red flags. And when I saw Mango and Leffen being all like, yeah, this isn't cool that you're portraying us in this way, I'm like, well, bro, you're kind of public figures, you know what I mean? And no shade, but like, you said that. You know, you said that, and as far as I'm aware, you've done nothing to atone for it. I think the only time Mango's commented on the homophobia stuff since it happened was to say, hey, I don't really like how you're depicting me in this. You know, so I can't really get on board the Mango train, because I saw that, and it was like with XQC, I just saw it, and I was like, you know, you don't seem like a very productive person. I don't want to engage with you. And then I'll see like some of my favorite like streamers or creators or whatever, like, you know, like being like, Mango's the GOAT, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I'm also side-eyeing them a little bit. I'm like, okay, so okay, I see what this is. You know what I mean? And the thing is, with Melee, like, there's like 1,000 things you can do to support queer, like, smashers, queer players in your contemporaries. You know, like the thing is, like, I'm not like super like upset for myself or whatever that Mango is calling his buddies queers and faggots between sets and anything. I'm more like concerned for like the queer people that were there at the event and that were, you know, maybe the ones that were closeted, or maybe the ones that were, you know, openly queer and had to fucking deal with that, because that shit is exhausting, you know? And that's something that a straight person is just never gonna understand. How casual homophobia just sort of wears you down over time. You know, and it can be an absolute nightmare to deal with. And it is. It's an absolute nightmare to deal with. So when I think of like what pride is for me, it's also the experience that comes with being queer and comes with being gay and having to see people look the other way time and time again when people are being homophobic. you know, and it's fucking frustrating, especially when it's like some of your, you know, favorite creators. And I don't buy into like any like I wouldn't say that I have any parasocial relationship with creators because I have no pretense about what the relationship between viewer and creator is. And I feel like people like watch enough of a creator's content and they start to get to know their personality and it feels like they have a friend in them. And it's like, yeah, Ludwig made a great video about that, like, I am not your friend. And it was very blunt and matter of fact because it deserved to be. It sort of had to be because people are fucking weird, you know? So when it comes down to like that, it's not like a sense of personal betrayal or whatever. It's more like, you know, and like I try not to practice guilt by association. It's more so just like, okay, I'm exhausted. Corona Mountain, okay. So I have an image of Corona Mountain in my head. Is like, say you have the circuit parties at Pinna Park, and you have the like R-rated Fire Island excursions at Sirena Beach. This is like phase 3 of like more adult-oriented pride moments. So I see Corona Mountain as like very much for like the BDSM and like leather subcultures and like just like underground sort of parties for those communities that, you know, sort of I guess would benefit from the atmosphere that Corona Mountain would provide. Like I think it would be really cool to have like sort of like an S&M party here. Now obviously you'd have to invest in some infrastructure. I'd say some safe bridges, some walls for maybe some privacy, maybe some proper ventilation because we are in a scorching volcano with like lava and, you know, a lot of spiky platforms. I don't know if those are natural formations. I have to assume they're not, but they do kill you pretty fast. But yeah, I also think that you could have like some pretty like extreme sort of like next level femboy fishing with the boat that you have over here, this little play boat. I think this could be fun. Like go like have like a femboy fishing moment while like listening to the sounds of men being penetrated and brutalized consensually, of course. I also think it would be cool to like before the event like host like mandatory consent workshops because like at the end of the day sort of like the BDSM subculture and BDSM in general is all about consent. And if you are going to engage, I feel like this would attract a lot of amateurs. You have to learn about that. You know, it's not just like the shit that you see in porn. It's like, you know, this is a proper like situation that you got going on here. So I think this could be a cool spot for like some really cool like leather daddy parties with some next level femboy fishing thrown in. And maybe not just the femboys. I think the leather daddies could get in on some good fishing here. Fishing for cock. No. Fishing for like, you know, lava fish. We saw some of those jumping about and such. That would be cool to have like on the... Honestly, I don't think you'd have to cook them. Well, no, you would have to cook them. I feel like you'd have to use like an air fryer or something because like they are built to withstand the heat. While we're talking about fun subcultures, I think we have to talk about Pianta Village. I think Pianta Village, you know, daytime could have some like fun like hippie pride stuff, but like in at night, this is like proper like this is where like the gay witches will like light their bonfires and like, you know, say prayers to like the old gods and such. You know, I think that there's a lot of potential here for the gay witch community. And you see, you know, there's certainly evidence of like other, you know, cultural practices during the daytime with the Fluff Festival, but this is, I feel like this is where it's more of like the more of the pagan stuff comes in, the Wiccan stuff comes in, where, you know, you have like imagine like a big bonfire. Oh my god, what if it was like in Shameless? Remember that part where they had to burn all the weed because it was like evidence that was going to implicate them or whatever, so they just had this giant like bonfire burning all the weed and everyone gets violently high. I think that would be a great time to be had. at Pianta Village. Again, I don't know a whole lot about the cultural practices of the Piantas. I have to assume that it has something to do with the Italian X community, and I kind of can't support that. I'm sorry. I'll do my best, but yeah, it's just not natural. So yeah, giant bonfire at the Pianta Village for all of the gay witches attending Isle Delfino Pride. Yeah, and that is on Pianta Village. I think the Noki are very interesting people within the cultural ecosystem of Isle Delfino, because they've always been sort of an underclass. You know what I mean? Like the Noki have always been, I think I touched on this. I definitely touched on this, but like the Piantas are very much the people with all the political power on Isle Delfino. They seem to have sort of a vice grip on the economy. They seem to have a monopoly on state violence and state propaganda, whereas the Noki seem to be very much an underclass here. And with the Ely Mouse Dentist boss fight, I think you could honestly read the Noki as like a story of, you know, gentrification and like sort of, because this guy, he's literally polluting the home of the Noki with sort of this venom that he spews in through his mouth and everything, you know, and like he sucks in the water. And I could see this like having some allegorical significance. Now, never one-to-one, obviously, but more so just like there's some symbolism here that I think could be pertinent if we wanted to go down that rabbit hole. And so taking the idea of the Noki as an underclass and a lot of your this is the most directly sort of like environmentalist like ties into the plot, because there's very strong environmentalist themes throughout Super Mario Sunshine. Like it was in the fucking advertising that was like PSAs about like keeping the planet clean, and like Green Day, not the band, like you know, the sort of the event, this is very strong environmentalist themes with the Nokis here. And you know, the Ely mouth could very much be the encroaching menace of Pianta supremacy, and as it negatively impacts the Noki communities on Isle Delfino. You know what I mean? But after, you know, you destroy the Ely mouth, you know, you come back later to this same spot, and it's just the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. You know, the Noki are like, they can go back down, you know, to like their home underwater again. It's like not polluted anymore, you know, and they have this ritual with the red coin fish. And like you see them riding their jellies, and the Noki are, you know, they're joyous and celebratory, you know, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. So I think tying that into the Pride celebration at Noki Bay would be a really wonderful thing. Sort of the eco-friendly themes here. I'm trying to distill it into like an event for Pride, but honestly, I feel like that would be sort of playing into what the Piantas want, because like that's just serving to further the industry here. I honestly think that for the Noki, Pride is more about, you know, community, and it's more of a constant celebration and a constant struggle in the fight for liberation. And I think that's way more authentic than this hyper commercialized stuff that the Piantas are pushing. And you know, I'm working. It's the proper quandary that a lot of queer people run into when doing Pride stuff nowadays. Like I gave Q4 some shit for it, but like they weren't wrong to call out the corporatization of Pride, you know. But like what you see with the Nokis and like the red coin fish, it's just what it's all about, dude. It's just what it's all about. finally, as we all know, you know, with any sort of pride event is going to come a lot of pushback from the reactionaries and the conservatives and the, you know, what have you. And so I think that it would be really great for Delfino Pride. I think the protest is going to be a big part in this. That we set up a proper space for the exodus of homophobes and transphobes from Isle Delfino. So in comes Delfino Airstrip, and in the ultimate petty bitch move of Pride Isle Delfino, I think at the airstrip, as the homophobes are exodusing back to their homeland of maybe the Metro Kingdom. I feel like those people seemed homophobic. It was like 1920s inspired, you know. I think it would be really cool to have like a queer music festival, queer music and art festival, to serenade the homophobes as they all departed for new and different lands, separate and wholly distinct from Isle Delfino. You know what I mean? And so you could get some big name artists on board. You know, I honestly think if you called up Princess Daisy from Sarasaland, and you got her and some of her gal pals, and maybe her roller derby team or such, they could put on a hell of a show, because you know that girl knows how to play guitar. So, like, she may be the absolute fucking monarch of a different kingdom. Queendom, princessdom? Anyways, I do think Princess Daisy would put on a hell of a show, and really serve it up for the lesbian community of Isle Delfino. And if you're not sold yet, just imagine the look on the homophobic Pianta's face as he's sailing off, and then you hear Princess Daisy. You look out the window and you see Princess Daisy and her gang, but do the opening chords of "Come to My Window, Melissa Etheridge." Doesn't that just light up your life, dude? I also think the airstrip could be used for political purposes, you know what I mean? Like, I definitely think that there is, like, you could do some, like, government photos and treaties and whatnot while you're there. Maybe a handshake between the head of state of Isle Delfino and Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, whoever is in town for the festival. Either way, I think that Isle Delfino is sure to have a pretty wild pride season, should they decide to take my advice and, you know, put all these events together exactly as I have detailed them. So I don't know about you, but I think it's a pretty solid foundation of ideas. Anyways, I've been talking for a while, so I'm going to throw it back to other Ryan as he gives the closing salvo of what will surely be another rousing addition to the Relax and Unwind segment of this channel. So yeah, that was Delfino Pride. I hope you enjoyed the video. I am recording this part before I've recorded the rest of the video, so I don't know the contents of it. I assume I killed it, you know, as always. If you enjoyed the video, please like it, comment that you liked it, or maybe you have a recommendation for one of the little areas. You know, listen, I've been to only so many Pride events. I'm using my imagination here. I don't know if mermaid LARPing is going to be like a real thing. I actually don't even know if that's in the final cut of the video. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. And if you don't subscribe, I'll know. And I'll find you. So, yeah.